Hello, Bruce, and thank you for joining me again today. Last time you told us about when you first discovered you had a weight problem and how it affected your childhood, where you alluded that more happened later in your life. Can I ask what impact has being overweight had on your adulthood?
Well, when you're growing up and progressing with your life, you don't really think about anything like that. I think because I was involved in a lot of sport, I didn't really consider weight a problem at that time. I do remember from a friend telling me that my mum had said that she was worried because I seemed to be losing a lot of weight. I had been at 23 and a half stone and I was now 20 stone. Big loss at that time. When I saw the photograph of myself sitting in a tractor helping my mate in his farm, I thought, bloody hell, I'm big. However, as is me, I put off doing anything about my weight for another 2 years or so, as the only difficulty I really felt was breathlessness when I went out to a run. The only other time I felt my weight was when I started rugby training in the summer. And this was either at a riding stables, when you had to run and jump over the jumps, through the water, down the sand pits, or when I was trying to run up and down sand dunes. I was around 26 years old at this time and still at 20 odd stone. In 1970, I attended a local slimming class and it was effective for me. I lost 66 pounds in 6 months, but like most slimmers thought, that's good, stop trying. So I returned to my old ways of eating and of course the weight came back on. I joined another slimming class and I lost weight. I was still very active in sport though, having joined a karate class and going to training 3 times a week. I returned to the UK to take up a residential post, working with adolescents, but I wasn't allowed to take my food in. In the building, all the workers had to eat with the same food as the kids. That sometimes was okay, but if you were on at the weekend, you were on a 14-hour shift and there was no way you could skip your meals all the time. And of course, adolescents, and with a canteen for the total unit had 48 children, not the one I was running, it had 12. Chips was the staple diet for everything. Chips or macaroni and cheese or things like that, easy stuff. We started a tuck shop to use the profits to buy a microwave. Microwaves were just starting to become really popular, so that kids could reheat food when they wanted to eat. At times we had children returning to our unit at 6 o'clock at night, and the food had been in hot plates since 4 o'clock, so it was cremated. So we said, just leave ours and we would get our own kids just to reheat it when they came back. The only bit wrong with that was that I was pretty useless at avoiding temptation and the sweets were always available. I organised it, I brought the sweets in, etc. It was difficult for me and I regularly succumbed to eating some of the tuck shop contents, not them all. But what used to annoy you was others would take tuck shop contents during a night shift and never ever dream of paying for it. So latterly we stopped that because it wasn't doing the kids any good and nobody, of course, had ever touched them. No, we never didn't know what you're talking about, all this sort of stuff. You know, any excuse, and we get really disappointed in people. I mean, if you want a couple of bars of chocolates, fine, give us the money. And I mean, it was cheaper anyway than buying it in the shops. However, it was working there. I used to get continual pains in my knee. The pain got worse, and after seeing the doctor numerous times, I was referred to a specialist who gave me an examination, x-rays, said, there's nothing wrong with your knees, it's your hip. I was 46. Shortly after that consultation, roughly 10 months, I had my first of 3 hip replacements. I was really young for that. The ward I was in, I always remember, I was 25 years younger than anybody else. You know, before surgery, I'd been struggling to get in and out of cars or even stand properly. You know, you would try to come out of a car and you're holding on to the door frame and the door to pull yourself up. And over time, the door would gradually slip. So of course, then you had to lift the door when you were in the car so as you could get it to close. Walking was also very problematical. The hip replacement helped and reduced my pain, but it was still difficult. On a routine check at the doctor's, he tested a urine sample which led to blood tests. The outcome was a diagnosis of mature onset diabetes type 2. This was initially controlled with diet, but myself and diets aren't really good friends, but progressed to numerous tablets and insulin injections, which I continually took until the class 1B in Christmas 2019.
And how have all those health conditions affected you?
In general, health suffered with my diabetes. My blood sugar levels increased, so did my medications. Initially, at one point, I was in 3,000 milligrams of metformin a day, glycoside tablets, and 30 and 40 units of insulin, apart from any other medications, of course, for blood pressure, heart rhythm, blood thinners, etc. And when I ordered my prescription for 2 months, I got it in 2 carrier bags. You know, you felt like you'd been to Asda shopping and walking out of a chemist with 2 full carrier bags. Kneeling was and is very sore still. Even if I'm getting up now, I still often have to lean on something to give me support to get up properly. I just felt I was marking time and my conditions were gradually worsening.
That all sounds horrific, Bruce. When most people think of diabetes, they only really think about the injecting of insulin, which can make people pretty blasé about weight gain or how much sugar they're intaking. Or it could be that the wider populace just don't know that there's so many side effects to diabetes, as well as the medication used to treat it. So sadly, that's all we have time for again, and we've run out of time again, Bruce. But we're going to hear more of your story. So thanks again, Bruce, and we'll catch you again soon.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Cheers.